Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here alongside Lyle Leong Jr. for the Back to 12 podcast. And Lyle, do you smell that? Do you smell that? I don't know if you smell it out there in Leveland.
Definitely smell it. I definitely
You
smell
smell
it,
it?
feel it.
No, I'm not talking about the farms either, people.
Yeah, you do
No, I
smell
think
that
it's,
as well. But I
yeah, no,
definitely
it's
feel it,
college
smell it.
football,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's on the horizon. We are just under 50 days away from college football returning. I was thinking about it yesterday, Lyle. I think my favorite time of the year is that mid-October to mid-November where it's still warm enough outside that you can wear shorts a couple of days, but you can have that nice little pullover on,
Yeah.
and you can open up your windows on a Sunday or Saturday and just watch football, college game day, whatever it may be. Um, we are inching ever so closely to that, and there is a lot to discuss. As last time we talked about, we didn't even have Big 12 preseason poll out. We'll talk about that, give our thoughts. We'll also discuss Big 12 Media Day, what Joey McGuire and crew had to say, 5 other Red Raiders there from the team. Also, we're going to give our top 6 quarterbacks going into the Big 12 this season. Where does Tyler Shuck rank? Is he in the top 5? Lyle, before we pressed record, said people are not going to like his top 6, so there's that. But before we get into today's video and podcast, be sure to subscribe. We're about to hit, I think, 8,150, about 8,150. So help us pass that mark. Looking to get over 10,000 this year during football season. It's been incredible what y'all have done, responding and interacting with us, not only here on YouTube, but on Twitter. We really appreciate it. But Lyle, it's been a minute, and this is probably the most distant news when it comes to Texas Tech and really just the Big 12 in general. The preseason media poll. And before we get into it, I got to ask you this real quick. When you were a player, did you even look at this like at all?
Nah, never looked at it,
Okay.
and um, I saw Coach Brown talking about it, which was my offense coordinator my senior year, but talking about how he brought it to the team that they were picked last, and they talked about discussed it. Um, that's a first for me, and like I said, everywhere I've been, and that really that's I say everywhere at Tech when I've been there. It's not a concern of where they pick us. It's always been about you and your team and what you can do. I think I think that's the fine line of being an athlete is looking too much into that stuff because it's easy to
Yeah.
watch ESPN and like the cool thing for me is going to the club after a game, making top 10 and seeing yourself. It's easy to get caught up in that stuff. So I think a lot of coaches and players, they don't get caught up in that because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what the preseason pick is. It only matters how you finish. So never once did we look at it, but at the end of the day, it's always in the back of your mind too. Like if you seen us pick last, like, and that's disrespectful. Sure. So you try to use it as motivation, but at the end of the day, you got to show up on Saturday and make it happen.
Yeah, West Virginia should be last though. My God. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to Neil Brown. That team is just bad. So we'll start there. Since we started at the bottom, we'll run through it 14-1. Feels weird to say 14-1. But that's where we're at right now. Only year as of right now that the Big 12 will have 14 teams. Now, Brett Yarmark, the commissioner of the Big 12, did say that they are open to expansion, but not necessarily going to make it happen unless the pieces are right. I'd be shocked if it didn't personally. But let's start at 14. West Virginia, they got 129 votes, a substantial increase, to Cincinnati at 13 with 202, Houston at 12, BYU at 11, and then Iowa State at 10. Truthfully, Lyle, I probably would only switch BYU and Iowa State, but like that's more of just like the long-term pedigree BYU has had and not what they're bringing to the table this year. But yeah, I think that these are clearly the bottom 5 teams in the
Hmm.
Big 12, with Iowa State probably having the best chance to get out of this bottom tier of the conference.
Yeah, I would do the same. I would switch. UCF and Iowa State, honestly. I just
Oh,
think
wow.
um, I tell people this all the time, and people get so pissed at me for saying this, but it's a difference when you jump into a Big 12 and you have to, play these big schools weekly. And they've been, in a conference, and no disrespect to their conference, but they've been where they've played, one super tough game. And so I think for these guys, it's going to be an adjustment. Do I think they're going to be trash and be last? No. But I think it takes a toll when you play Texas and then turn around and play Kansas State, turn around and play Oklahoma, and then turn around and play Texas Tech. So we'll see how those guys, I don't know if they've been, not to say they don't work hard. There's guys in every conference that's good. But when you're going against top-notch, top conference, Power 5, week in, week out, you get injuries, you get fatigued. Players aren't used to that. And so I think for those guys, it's going to be an adjustment period for them. So I'd switch those two, and then my top four would probably change, and everything else would be the same. For my top four, I'd have Kansas State winning the Big 12, Texas being second,
You've
Tech
seen the
being
light, Lyle. You've
yeah,
seen the
I
light.
did. I did. With Will
I see.
Howard coming back, yeah, I see it. But Texas second, Tech third, and I have Baylor fourth.
Oh, wow. So you don't even have Oklahoma in your top four.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, let's do the complete list real quick. So that was Lyle's top four. The actual top 9 were Kansas, UCF, Oklahoma State, who got a first place vote, which is an absolutely ridiculous Homer-ass thing to do by a beat writer because they have no business deserving that. Number 6 is Baylor, TCU at 5, Texas Tech at 4, Oklahoma at 4. Backtrack a little bit for me. TCU got 3 first place votes. I can understand it after last year. They did lose a lot, but it's the respect factor and recency bias. I'm okay with it. Texas Tech got 4 first place votes, the same as Oklahoma, and was only 29 points away in the total points from Oklahoma and being third. So they kind of view TCU and Oklahoma 5 through 3 kind of in a similar light, which I don't hate at all. Oklahoma in third, as I mentioned, then Kansas State at second got 14 first place votes with 558 points. And then, of course, Texas comes in at number 1 with 41 first place votes and 886 votes total. Like, I get it from the Texas side. I'll say this. This is by far the most talented team Sark has had. By far. If it doesn't work this year and they don't win the Big 12, I don't know if it ever will. Just simple and plain. Like, in terms of them being like that national, like, relevant at the top of where they want to be again, right? Because, like, this team that Sark has truly is super talented, and Tech fans aren't going to like to hear that, but like, it's the truth. Like, and for me, Lyle, looking at it right now, you know how I feel about Kansas State. I love Kansas State. I love everything that they're doing up in Manhattan. I would probably put them at number 1 as well. I'd probably have Texas at 2. I put Oklahoma at 3, Texas Tech at 4, and then TCU at 5. So really the only thing I would switch is Kansas State and Texas. I mean, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, unless you want to get into it right now, Lyle, in terms of our top 6 quarterbacks. But it's not a coincidence that 4 of the top 6 quarterbacks in this league, in my opinion, are from the teams that are ranked in the top 4 of the preseason poll. So I think for me, when I look at it, again, really the only big thing, the biggest qualm I have in this is Kansas at 9 is utterly disrespectful. I get that they're close, but when Jalen Daniels is healthy, game changer. It's a game changer, right? And so for me, I would not have Kansas at 9. I think I'd probably have them at 7, if I'm being honest. I know that there's some people that say, oh, the defense is going to hold them back. Listen, the defense doesn't even have to be bad. Like, it just needs to be bad. Like, that's it. Like, it just needs to take one step forward. Like, it just can't be atrocious. Like, that's it. Like, if it's bad, they're fine because their offense is going to be probably top 3, top 4 at worst in the Big 12. So I'd probably put Kansas at 7, scoot everybody down 1 after that. So have Oklahoma State at 8, UCF at 9. I'm higher on UCF than you are. I like Gus Malzahn. Maybe it's the, Arkansas kid in me and him getting his start at Shiloh Christian up there as a high school coach. But yeah, I think that's probably my biggest thing is like Kansas at 9 is crazy.
I agree.
But the biggest disrespectful thing is, and I really want to know who the hell did it. Oklahoma State getting a first place vote. You should never be allowed to vote on a media poll again, let alone have an opinion on sports. That is blasphemous, atrocious, and downright sacrilege on just anything that is good about college football. That is stupid. Just straight up stupid. What are we doing?
You got to give them you do got to give them, what I give them is from being there, Oklahoma State's been many times one game away. Honestly,
they're good.
But honestly,
they're good.
They lose at what's the last game with OU? They've had several times they would have won the Big 12, but they lose to OU every time.
I get it, Lyle. But
and if
you
Lincoln
can't
wasn't
in your
there,
right
they would have won.
You can't in your right mind tell me right now, as the roster stand, that you truly believe Oklahoma State is the best team. And that's what that means. That's what that means, that first place vote. You cannot look anyone in their eyes and tell me with unequivocal doubt and not feeling like you have to go to church and confess your sins that Oklahoma State is the best team in the Big 12. There's no way in hell. There's no way.
Yeah, but you still got to perform.
I get it. I get it. Be as but that's not what this is about.
They got recruits. They got some top notch people. So every year they're
agreed.
They got top
this isn't a shot.
Top-notch recruits.
This isn't a shot at Oklahoma State as a program. They are a good program. They are. But you cannot tell. And the only reason I can think that maybe this person did it, maybe, and I'm not even trying to give them an out. Oklahoma State has arguably the easiest schedule in the Big 12. I mean, they avoid a lot of top-end teams, right? But here's this. Here's the thing. No. Just no. That's the thing. No. No. There's no way in hell that person truly believes that. And honestly, I hope somebody records this and just roasts my ass on Twitter if it happens. I hope it does, if Twitter's a thing by the end of the season. I hope it happens for their sake. But there's no way in hell they truly believe that right now. There's no way. Yeah. Sorry, that was one of my tangents. I'll have another one here in a second. You know what? Let's jump into our top 6 quarterbacks real quick, because I think quarterbacks are a good transition here. Again, quarterbacks are obviously the most important position in football. They're not the end-all, be-all, but they're a pretty good indicator about how you feel about a team. Lyle, let's start at number 6 on your list. Who do you have as the 6th best quarterback in the Big 12 right now?
I'm gonna have to go with my man Chandler Morris from TCU. He hasn't had a lot of he hasn't had a lot of play, but if you look at his numbers, very efficient. I think that's the difference between him and a lot of these Big 12 quarterbacks. You're gonna throw interceptions in the Big 12, but some of these guys in this Big 12 have tons of interceptions. So I got to give it to him. He's had very limited, so it could go the left or the right, but the times that he's got to play, he's been very efficient. And I think part of that was, my bro, G. Riley, doing his thing. So with the new offensive coordinator, we'll see how that goes too. But he's been efficient with the ball. And one thing I've learned as a coach, as a player, those quarterbacks that can keep the ball from getting turned over usually are pretty successful.
Yeah. And remember, he was the starter last year for TCU, got hurt, and then Max Duggan, no pun intended, took the job and ran with it. At number 6, I have John Reese Plumlee from UCF, the two-sport star, plays baseball for the Golden Knights, also the starting quarterback. He is arguably the most interesting guy out of those 4 teams that are coming in, because if he plays well, I think there's a scenario that UCF finishes in the top 6 of the Big 12. But I think there's a ton on his shoulders. I think UCF is by far the most talented team coming in out of the Cincinnatis, Houstons, and BYU. I think that's just for sure. Are you trying to get a fly right now?
Yeah, sorry, folks.
No, nice. Did you get him?
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, nice. Sorry. I know. No, I love a good tangent on the podcast there.
I tried to let him make it. He hit my nostril twice. That was too much for me. So I didn't appreciate
No, you're good. I think that's the way to go. Are you an old school Swiflaughter guy?
What do you mean by old school, brother?
Like the plastic ones you buy for 25 cents?
Yeah, school provided these, brother. And I just use them.
That's all I needed to know. The school provided it. I knew what they were.
Yeah, and so it's been a lot
Yeah.
of deaths on my hand due to this, and so,
Nice.
for my animal lovers out there, that's on
It's a
me.
fly. Do flies count as animals?
In this
Like, we
world we
getting
live
upset about
in,
that?
I wouldn't be surprised if I get a tweet right after this, saying how bad of
Ah,
a
we'll be
person
all
I
right.
am. So,
I'm more
we'll
of one
see.
of those electric guys. Have you seen those electric fly
Yeah,
swatters?
I can't afford that. The way my
Oh,
bank account set up, being a
yeah.
teacher.
Well, I mean, we got it as a gift, so.
Oh. Hey, well, next Christmas, send one to your boy. I love to zap him up.
Noted. Noted. I've got John Reese Plumley at 6. Who do you have at 5, Lyle?
At 5, I have Mr. Gabriel from OU. At 5,
At 5?
I have him at 5, and the reason I put him at
Damn.
5 is because he has arguably one of the most talented receiving cores in the Big 12. I think he threw 12 interceptions last year, 13 interceptions, something high. I have to go back and check my facts. But to me, that was a big reason why OU was not successful last year due to turnovers. And a lot of those turnovers were, at the end of the day, it's I don't want to say it's on the quarterback because the O-line got to block, receivers got to run the right route. It's a lot of stuff that could go wrong. But when you throw that many interceptions with that many high-class athletes around you, that's tough for me to kind of get with. So that's my biggest thing on him. I think he has every tool to be the best quarterback in the Big 12. I think that he has the tools around him to be the best quarterback. But like I said, I mean, if you go back and look at the stats, and I know it's not fair
9 total
because
turnovers. 9
yeah,
total turnovers. He
yeah,
had
yeah.
6 interceptions, but 3 fumbles.
Yeah. So turnovers is what I look for. And I just think, and it's kind of not fair because they've had some great quarterbacks before him. But that's why the difference of OU was quarterback play. And to me, it's, he's a young cat jumping in that role. But for me, turnovers. Don't get me wrong. I think he can be the best. But if we're going off of what he's done thus far, that's why I have him at 5.
Yeah, you'll hear about him on my list later. I am much higher on Dylan Gabriel. At number 5, I have Tyler Shuck. And
Oh,
it's not a knock on Tyler Shuck. It's just, again, like you look at his stats, and here's the thing. The most important stat for a quarterback is winning football games, right? He's 8-1 as a starter at Texas Tech. That's all I really care about, right? But if you look strictly at the stats themselves, they're not all inspiring or anything like that. And that's fine. Again, win football games, I really don't care, right?
mhm.
The biggest compliment I can give Tyler Shuck is I think I will be drastically too low when the season is over. I think I will look foolish having him at number 5, but I can't in good faith have him any higher than the other 4 guys I have on this list
Yeah.
ahead of him, just for the sheer fact of, again, I think Tyler Shuck will play at least 10 games this year. If Tyler Shuck plays 10 games this year, which he hasn't done during his time at Texas Tech, obviously when you look at his record as a starting quarterback, he's 8-1. But if he plays 10 games this year, Lyle, he's a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12 at worst, and I'd probably put him at number 2 because
Yeah.
I know he's going to produce in Zach Kitley's offense. There's just no way he doesn't. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the Big 12. This is really just a thing of, for me, right? First and foremost, the talent around him, right? Good talent. There's no doubting about that in terms of Jerron Bradley. You got Loic Fouonji, you got Miles Price, you've got Dre McCray. But there's a couple of guys I have in front of him that I think potentially maybe do more from the standpoint of, one, for sure, because I think this guy is the most important player on his team in the entire league. And I have him pretty high up. We mentioned this team earlier. And then a couple of others where I think maybe from a talent standpoint, they have more around him right now in terms of proven talent.
Mhm.
And then one I'm just infatuated in hell with. I mean, my God, there's one in front of him that you probably know who it is. I've been on him since day one from the jump. Absolutely love him. I actually have him at number 4. But yeah, Tyler Shuck is at 5 for me. And I'm telling you right now, I will look dumb saying this right now. I know I will. I know I will. But I can't in good faith project potentially what's going to happen. I have to go right now. This is going into the 2023 season. I'll go ahead and go get my 4th over with because I'm sure a lot of people know who it is. It's Will Howard.
Mhm.
I mean, I love Will Howard. If he's just 2 or 3 percentage points more accurate, I understand that's quite a bit for a quarterback. He's the best quarterback in the Big 12. It's that simple for me. I really think he is. He was efficient as hell last year. I believe he had 18 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions, only four total turnovers. And
Mm-hmm.
I just love everything about Kansas State. I mean, I've been on it since the jump in terms of what the Wildcats were building. I'm glad that you're finally on the bandwagon as well, Lyle. They're just so good. And I get it. They're going to lose Deuce Vaughn. They'll have a running back by committee. Believe they brought in a running back from Florida State. That's pretty good. They keep some of their wide receivers. They're going to have to figure it out since they lost their star defensive end to the first round of the Kansas City Chiefs. But again, I just believe in the Wildcats. And I think now that Will Howard has complete control of the QB1 spot, nobody else there, no Taylor Martinez or anything like that, I think he's absolutely going to ball out in Manhattan and the Little Apple this year.
I agree. He's a good one. For my fourth, I have Quinn. I have
Okay.
Quinn at 4. And like I said, my biggest thing is the weapons around him. Like I said, to me, there's no excuse. Like I said, he had a pretty good season, threw for 2,000 yards, only 6 interceptions.
Was
But
hurt for some of that too.
what'd you say? Yeah, was hurt for some of that too.
Yeah.
And so, but I think the biggest thing is, like I said, when it comes down to him, I think my biggest problem is his last minute decisions. When the ball is in his hand and they're going down,
Sure.
I don't know how much I trust it. So to have the amount of 5 stars around you and and I don't want to say not produce because he produces, and quarterback is the hardest position. But to me, that'd be my biggest take is when it comes down to the wire, when I've seen him, I feel like he hasn't always came through. Or when pressure is coming, he needs a drive, I feel like he's not able to come through. And when you have people around you, you look at their class right now, when you look at the people that they get year in and year out, it's hard for me to kind of get past that. So I got him at 4.
I like Quinn. I always have. Thank God he got rid of that disgusting ass mullet. But I I chalk last year up to. I'm not trying to give him a pass or anything because you're right. There's a ton of talent there. But that injury early on against Alabama, I think really kind of didn't do him any favors, I guess is probably the best way to say it. For his long-term, success during that season. I mean, you know better than anybody, Lyle, in this tech podcasting space. Like, the only day that you're truly 100% as a football player is the first day of fall camp. And then after that, you're just trying to manage things.
Man.
And so I can't even imagine what it's like if you actually have a serious injury and you have to go through it. But I think that's the thing. Like, Quinn, rightfully so, it comes with the territory. I don't think he'd have it any other way. Like, he gets knocked a lot, right? Like, for some of the things he does. But also, last year was the first year he was starting. And I think, again, I think he's a good quarterback. Again, as you mentioned the stats already, threw for about 2,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Did have an interception or two late in ball games that probably cost them a chance to win the game. His game against TCU, I get it. It's TCU, but didn't really do a lot of great things there, in my opinion. Now, absolutely, he balled out against Washington in the bowl game. But yeah, I think there will be some growth there. I actually have Quinn at 3. And you hit a lot of the points I was going to talk about. So who do you have at 3 on your list? Is this
Hey,
where
and I do want
this
to
where Tyler Shuck comes in?
No, I do want to say one thing on that though too. When you get paid a lot of money and when you make it a deal where, hey, I'm picking out of these 2 schools and you bring it to that, that's what comes with it too. So at the same time, I
Sure,
want to put that out
100%.
there. You know what I'm saying? Like he's getting paid big bucks. Like I'll take that right now if Tech pays me $5 million and come back. I'm with it. So I just want to say
Sure.
that. But for me, for 3, I have Will Howard for my 3. And like I said, why I have him there is because he came in as a backup, continue to win games, continue to play good. And like that's hard to do as a backup, to not play half the season for a guy that's super good, that's high on everybody's list, to come in behind him and make those plays. And like you talked about already, you hit most of the point. He's a efficient, and in my opinion, he's the third most important quarterback to his team in the Big 12. The other two are more important in my opinion. And I think, like I said, he does a lot of stuff besides throw the ball. You know, he hands it, he runs it. He just makes good decisions. He's a bigger guy. So they did a lot of stuff.
6'5".
Yeah.
I dead ass, Lyle. I did not even realize that until Big 12 Media Day, like yesterday, when I
Right.
saw him, or 2 days ago. I was like, damn, Will Howard looks kind of big. I always thought he was like 6'2".
No,
Right?
bro.
That's literally what I thought he was. And then I looked at the measurables. I was like, this man is 6'5", 250.
That's what I'm saying, and that's another element, you know, that they have. They can run the ball with the quarterback. You know, Kit does that a lot with Ty, but like I said, that's a problem. If you go ask any DC in America, what the hardest thing to do is, it's a quarterback that's able to run, or a quarterback that you can use on short yardage. And so I think, like you said, he's the most important piece to their team. I think if he gets hurt, like I said, 90% of the time, go look at history. Anytime your starting quarterback gets hurt, most teams do not continue to have success. And so for him to step in there and them to have success, that says a lot about that man. So that's why I got him at number 3.
Yeah, no, hey, welcome to the K-State bandwagon. Unbelievable.
Yes, sir.
Didn't think this was going to happen 12 months ago, did you?
No.
Here we are. Love me some Will Howard. All right, so we're moving to our top 2. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and let us know down in the comments below, who do you think is the best QB in the Big 12? We're at our top 2. I think Lyle and I are going to have the same number 1. I really do. We did not talk about this before. I know we're not going to have the same number 2. And if we don't have the same number 2, then we're probably not going to have the same number 1. Or we will have the same number 1, excuse me. So, Lyle, who you got at number 2?
I got my man Ty.
Wow, Tyler
My
Shuck
man
at
Ty
number
at
2.
number 2. And the reason I do have him at number 2 is, like I said, going 8-1. You know how I feel about the receiver play at Texas Tech. So I think it's going to be better, but I don't think it's been great for him. I think he's made decisions. And part of this is, like I said, having that connection over there and knowing what's going on too. But the amount of times he kind of has, and please don't blow this up, Twitter and YouTube people, but he kind of has some glimpse of Graham as far as being knowledgeable to change a play to get what he wants to do. And that's something that Graham did all the time. Like Leach gets credit because he created this, but Graham switched the play a lot to put us in good positions. So, you know, I'm sure if you talk to my man Crab, he'll tell you how many times Graham put him in positions to be successful. And, you know, of course, Crab did the rest and made it happen. But I've seen him make checks and make plays. He can run the ball because we've seen him run the ball, the option. We've seen him be able to throw. I mean, he has all the things that, in my opinion, he needs to be successful. And to me, I think this is the highest ranking that Texas Tech has ever had in preseason. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I know it's one of the top 3 highest
In terms
preseason
of the
rankings.
preseason poll?
Yeah, in terms of preseason, it might be the highest ever. So a lot of that kudos goes to him, that, you know, people believe in what Coach McGuire is doing, but also comes down to the quarterback. You know, we had a great quarterback by the name Patrick Mahomes. I don't think we were top 4 with him. So that says a lot to me about him. But overall, just his knowledge of the game, I think that's what separates him from those other guys. And I think that's why he went 8-1, because, like I said, you know, we've had this talk. I don't think we get separation at the receiver position. I think Coach Juice is going to come in and help him create that and do that. Great coach. But like I said, for me, the fact that he came in and did that and was hurt and still was able to go 8-1 halfway hurt, I mean, that says a lot. So if he's healthy and he can finish the season, like you said earlier, I think he could be, second best quarterback in the Big 12. But once again, I think his biggest question mark is how many games can he go? Because I don't know if he's made it through a season in his career. But I think that's what it comes down to for him.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be made into a YouTube short, by the way. 100%. Yeah, no, I'm making that into a clip myself. Screw Twitter, Lyle. I'm going to do it. No, I agree wholeheartedly. Like I said, when I brought Tyler Shuck up at 5, I'm going to look stupid. It's just more of like, I can't myself put him up where you have him yet because, and maybe it's just like naive of me, but like I can't do it because of the games played aspect. Like that's
But
it. I'm telling you right now, if he plays 10 games, I'm going to have him in the top 2, top 3 at worst. Like I'm going to, because we've seen what he does in terms of the most important aspect of what a quarterback does. I don't care how many touchdowns you throw. I don't care how many, rushing yards you get. The only thing I care about at the end of the day for a quarterback, truthfully, and it's the only position like this in sports, simple and plain, it's winning. And he wins. Like, I know there's a lot of factors going into that, but Tyler Shuck has proven time and time again he can win in a multitude of ways. I mean, perfect example, that cold game in Iowa State where they won 14-10 in Ames when it was 0 degrees outside. What does he do to end the year? He goes down to Houston and he just obliterates Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels, right, with an offensive onslaught, right? So he can do it in a multitude of ways, and I agree wholeheartedly that the talent is there. Like, if you're asking me strictly pro-level talent in the Big 12 at the quarterback position, he's top 2 right now, and it's not a conversation. Like, it's just not. But it really just comes down to, can he play 10 games? I just need 10. Like, that's it, man. Because you got a guy in Baron Morton that can come in there if needed to help you. But in order for Texas Tech to reach their peak, it's got to be Tyler Shuck.
Hey, shout out to my man Morton, too. Shout out to you, brother.
Yeah.
All love.
Shoot, honestly, if he was the starting quarterback, he'd probably be in my top 6, too.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So I'm guessing we have the same number 1.
Who'd you pick, brother?
Jalen Daniels.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I don't think, and again, call me on my shit, Lyle, if you disagree. Jalen Daniels is the most important player to his team, not only in the Big 12, but the entire country. Case in point, last year.
Bro, let me tell you something. For those of y'all who've never been to Lawrence, Kansas on game day Saturday, that man is the same, because I've been there and saw my parents, spoke to my parents mid-game. So I'm telling you, for that dude to go in there and for a program that hasn't been successful in a long time, go in there, and they were up there. At the beginning of the year, they were up there. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hold on. Sorry, Bluetooth people. But for him, the way he did to keep it moving, to have success, and then the drop-off. And that's what we kind of talked about earlier. When you get a backup, usually that happens, you know what I'm saying? But the stuff that they do, the offense that they run is pretty cool for those who've never watched it. They do some
and it's all because of him. It's all because of him. I'm
saying. They do some really cool stuff, but it's because of him. So, like I said, they had to switch it up. If you watch the games that he played and the games that he didn't play, not the same. So that's that to me. We talked about it last year. Your sleeper was Kansas State. Honestly, my sleeper is Kansas. We both got them at 7, but like I said, man, it just depends on how they're doing. They got momentum. They had a successful season of what they've been having. And I just think that they're one that they get a little momentum, and he's another one. Can he make it through the season? And I think the difference between him, and Tyler is the way that Kansas uses him. Like, they use him. We use Ty a lot, but the way that they use him as far as running, like, he takes a lot of hits per game. So,
it's him and Neal. Like, their whole offense is him and the running back Neal. Like, that's it.
And so I think, like I said, he's another one. Can his body hold, or can that staff do a good enough job to do what they want to do but protect him? So, like I said, for those of you who've never been on the field, like I said, it's not but if you've never been on the field, there's some extremely huge people on that field. So, his safety of getting down, being smart, and that's him as a player, understanding too. We kind of saw it in my brother RG3 when he went to the NFL. Like, those guys have got to learn how to run and get down when you're being used in that offense, because those guys are so big. As a quarterback, you're not built to go in there and take 20 hits a game unless you're Tim Tebow. But, regular quarterbacks, and maybe Will, because Will's 250. But other than that, it's just how he, as a player, how smart he is, as a staff, how smart they are. But I definitely think they're going to have to do what got them to this point to be successful. They go try to do a regular Texas Tech, or not Texas Tech, but whoever, a regular air raid offense. I don't know if they're successful until they get it rolling. So shout out to that staff and him.
Yeah. Leopold has done a phenomenal job up in Lawrence. Didn't know how that hire would go. I thought it would be a good one. Thought it would take like 4 or 5 years, but when you got a guy like Jalen Daniels there, it accelerates the process a little bit.
Yes,
so run from 6 to 1. Give your top 6 again, Lyle, real quick, and then I'll do mine right after.
All right, I got 6, Chandler Morris. I got OU Gabriel at 5. I got Quinn at 4. I got Will Howard at 3. I got Ty at 2. I got Jalen at 1. And I do want to do an honorable mention to my boy Donovan at Houston. I think he's going to get the notch, and I give him honorable mention. He was close to being my 6, without a doubt.
Oh, spicy. That's spicy right there. I don't know why I have so much faith in this guy. He's done nothing, but if I had to give an honorable mention, probably Blake Shapen. My God, I don't know why I have faith in the guy. I really don't. I don't even know if he's going to win the job. Like, I think it might be Sawyer from Lubbock. I think he might win that job. Could be. I don't know. We'll see. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, at 6, I've got John Reese Plumlee. Know the name, people. He's the best player in terms of probably the one you're going to know most about from those new 4 teams in the Big 12. Got Tyler Shuck at 5. I will wholeheartedly admit I will probably look dumb with that ranking if he plays 10 games. Got Will Howard at 4. Really kind of want to switch him to 3, but I'm not going to do it. Got him at 4. If he increases his completion percentage just by like 3 points and gets it to 62, we may be talking about the best quarterback in the Big 12. You got Quinn Ewers at 3, Dylan Gabriel at 2. I think Dylan Gabriel I think he's just an assassin, man. I think he was just hurt last year. I think he's going to be a lot better this year for Oklahoma. And then I think it was blatantly obvious who has to go at number 1. Obviously, Lyle and I agreed. The most important player, not only in the Big 12 to his respective team, but I truly believe it, the country. It's Jalen Daniels, quarterback at Kansas. Again, let us know who is the best quarterback in the Big 12. You see the bottom line below. It'll be a pinned comment down below as well. Lyle, what do you say we transition into Big 12 Media Day thoughts real quick? And before we do, I kind of need to go on a tirade, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Take your time.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. By the way, if you're excited about Texas Tech football season, go ahead and like the video. Lyle, I'm going to ask you some questions here. And to be honest with you, they're rhetorical, just to let you know beforehand.
Okay.
Why the hell do people get upset about a head coach hyping up this program? I don't get it. Like, even if it's not realistic to some, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And so what I saw yesterday, I have plenty of people in my mentions on Twitter. I saw plenty of tweets, and I saw plenty of people in other people's tweets in the Texas Tech space from other fan bases basically saying Joey McGuire is delusional for 3 main points. The first one being this, Joey McGuire yesterday, and we'll talk about Big 12 Media Day a little bit more in depth here in a second. He said that he thinks that the DNs in the edge room is 100% better than the one that they had last year with Tyree Wilson. Again, you can't replace Tyree Wilson with one guy, right? Like, that's just not possible. I think we can both agree on that, right? That's a top 10 NFL draft pick and a freak. But when he says the room is better, I don't think you could argue that. It's a fact. Texas Tech has never had this many guys in their D end and edge room that could make an impact, right? It's so good, Lyle, that they were like, well, this is a position of strength. Why don't we move one of our best outside linebackers that rushes off the edge, Josiah Pierre, to Mike linebacker? That's how good it was. And so when you think about the guys that they've got coming back, you've got Miles Cole, you've got Joseph Adedire. I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out here. You've got Isaac Smith, Bryce Ramirez coming back, Steve Linton. You got Isaiah Crawford, a 4-star from Post, who may have to redshirt because this team is so deep at this positions. I don't get the hate on that front. Just because you had a top 10 draft pick leave does not mean the overall landscape of your room can't be better, right? You got to understand that and put that in perspective. Next, Joey McGuire said this about the quarterbacks. He says that, and again, I haven't fact checked this, but he brought it up and he even told people, hey, fact check me on this. But I think I'm with him in the fact that Texas Tech is the only team in the Big 12 that has two quarterbacks on their roster that has wins against Big 12 teams.
That's deep.
Tyler Shuck and Baron Morton. Remember, health is an issue, but hey, sometimes health gives you valuable experience, right? And he said that they have the best quarterback room in the Big 12 at the top of it. And I get it. Texas has all the stars with Arch Manning. They got Malik down there as well, who, by the way, I love Malik. He's going to be a stud at Texas. Then they got Quentin as well. I mean, he's like Cam Newton. Jesus. Golly, that kid is huge. You think Will Howard's big. Go check out that guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I get it from a talent perspective, but from a, in terms of a pedigree from the talent perspective. But from a talent perspective and a provenness standpoint, I don't get how you can argue that with Joey McGuire if that's the case, personally, right? And then this one is always funny to me. Joey McGuire's like, our expectation is to win the Big 12 title. Like, yeah, no shit. That's what it should be. You got 18 starters coming back. How is that like delusional? I just don't understand personally, Lyle. Like, I get it. It's Twitter, it's social media, it's toxic. People are going to get upset about stupid stuff all the time. But like, you ended the year 4-0. You beat an SEC school. Not to mention you have 18 starters coming back from your bowl game, and arguably the most important one being Tyler Shuck. Oh, and I forgot to mention, two of the starters that don't return on offense, you bring in your best offensive lineman, he will be, and Cole Spencer, a former All-American from Western Kentucky that had a medical red shirt last year due to a back injury. Oh, and then, by the way, you go get his counterpart at the center position at Western Kentucky and Rusty Stats, who they'll be playing left guard and center once again. Oh, and by the way, their offensive coordinator was Zach Kittley, so they understand the terminology. I am not trying to say Texas Tech is going to go 12-0, 13-0, 15-0, whatever it takes. But to say that Texas Tech doesn't have a chance to win the Big 12 is lunacy, right? Like, this isn't your mom's Tech, or this isn't your grandpa's Texas Tech, right? Like, I'll say this, Lyle. Maybe this is a hot take, and please shut me up if it is. This Texas Tech team is closer to the teams you played on than the teams we've seen in the past decade. Like, that's what I think. I think that's fair to say. I'm not saying they are you guys, but I'm saying
no, I agree.
Expectations, they should be closer to what y'all were expecting than the
past.
past.
They might be higher, honestly. I don't remember us being that high. We performed, but I don't remember, like, even when we were number 2. The preseason poll, we were not number 2. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think this is the highest we've ever been pre-ranked, So I agree with you on that. And then, these people got to understand what he's doing. He's also marketing, not only for his players 100%. To be successful, but also to go to the NFL. He's starting a pipeline. Hey, we got these guys. So y'all got to understand, because they beat Texas and OU. That hadn't been done. We're building a $200 million facility. That ain't ever been done. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big person. I say 100 times, it's so hard to recruit here. He's recruiting here. He's done all the things that people said he couldn't. So you got to understand what he's doing. Okay, like the season tickets. I tried to get some season tickets, sold out. The reason that they're sold out is because he's at the Big 12 saying we're going to win the Big 12 championship. So it's a lot more than what you guys are understanding as a coach. You want to promote your team. You want to promote players. You want to promote your program, but you also want to get people involved. If he went up there, like you said, and said, oh, man, we ain't got a chance, no one's going to show up to the games. You know what I'm saying? I get my tickets for being an alum from playing there, but I also wanted to have my own season tickets. Why? Because of all the stuff that's going on that I hear, that I see, and get to be a part of. So I think you got to understand what he's doing, why he's the buzz. If it wasn't somewhat where people were following it, it wouldn't be on Big 12. Go type in Big 12 Media Day. Joey McGuire pops up first. It's a reason.
First one.
Yeah, it's a reason. It's a reason why he's doing this stuff. So everybody's got to understand what he's doing. Like, that's what I give Coach McGuire. He's a fantastic coach. but he's also a genius in everything he does. If y'all saw the inside of his jacket, he was shouting out Leach. Like that's big time right there. So I think that's what separates him from a lot of the other coaches. He understands the value of marketing. And even when he spoke, he talked about high school coaches. He knows he gets all his products from us high school coaches. And so he makes sure to always acknowledge he was a high school coach. And he doesn't do that to be like, hey, man, he does it because we can all relate. So when we get a kid and Coach McGuire comes through, oh, Coach, yeah, I remember when I was in your shoes. It makes people want to send their kids to Coach McGuire. So y'all got to understand, this dude's really like a marketing genius. You know what I'm saying? And it's
We
funny
just
to
changed the
me,
title. We just literally,
man,
you just changed the title of this video. It is now going to be Texas Tech football. Joey McGuire is a genius.
for real.
That's what it's going to be.
You know, from him going on the light pole, and it's just so funny because it's so different from Mike. Mike would never go on a light pole. Mike wouldn't
Oh, the crane. You're
Mike's
talking about the crane. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
crane. Yeah. Mike would never do that. Mike would never go and say, Mike is just gonna come up with a story and go. And
Yeah.
that was his marketing scheme, was to go tell his funny stories to be Mike. Mike himself was the marketing scheme, that got people that wanted to come. And like we talk about in many podcasts, a lot of these kids go to play for people. There's
100%.
very small universities where people say, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to Texas, I'm going to OU. Other than the top-notch programs that have been for a while, most kids are going to play for somebody. So Coach McGuire, man, I'm taking notes every day, and I'm kind of trying to get some high school kids to move out this way by doing the same. But I mean, it's been incredible, the amount of talk that always comes, and in a good way. Like I said, there's always gonna be negative people, but it's always positive. I've never met a person that has something bad to say about Coach McGuire. And even like I said, me being a small pawn, I go to practice. Hey man, how's leveling? So it's the little stuff that he does that he doesn't have to say that. And I'm already bought in. I'm already sold. But he resells me
Sure.
every time I go, and he asks me how
It's
leveling
just
is.
being genuine.
Yeah,
It's
being
the
genuine.
genuine factor.
Yeah. So I think that's where you guys got to understand the success, the recruits, all the stuff that's coming with Texas Tech is because of what he's doing. He brought it to attention, the facilities, stuff like that. Like I said, I think Texas Tech has the best alumni in the nation. I think this is just the first time that everyone's came together. Because, like I said, I've never gone anywhere where somebody did not go to Texas Tech and did not know something about Texas Tech
Same.
ever. And so
Yeah.
I think that he did a great job of marketing, bringing it together, and making people realize if we come together, we can be an elite program, elite college. Um, and I think he's done that. And I don't think people give him credit for all the stuff that he's done as far as putting it together. That's why there's 18 starters back in a world that you can leave and go get paid more money. So it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. And again, I want to say I get it from the other fan base's perspective, but also like I really don't. Because it's
I
if
don't.
you don't it's like me going in, Lyle, or one of us going in and talking trash about, I don't know, I'd never do this, but Kansas State, right? Like we don't know what's going on a daily basis, right? Like we
Yeah.
pay attention a lot more to Texas Tech. And like I think I have a pretty good overview of what's going on in the Big 12. But the fact that you are like, there's people out there that they're trying to blast Joey McGuire for hyping up his kids. That's what you're supposed to do. Like that's part of your job description. And agree with you wholeheartedly. As I mentioned, I will be changing the title of this video to Joey McGuire Genius at Big
Genius.
12 Media Day. I mean, I might not have to put Big
No,
12 Media
period.
Day in there.
No,
Just
you
put
need to
Joe.
say period. Did you
Yeah.
see the Patty Mahomes thing they just dropped? You retweeted. I
No.
saw it from you.
Oh,
The
the
video.
video? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
dude, I binged that thing in like 3
But
days.
that's what I'm saying. Like he is a genius. Like
Yeah.
that's what we haven't been doing. Patty probably been back 100 times. This is the first time I seen a video of him dropping down, slapping other coaches. He probably been back 20 times. We didn't know. Only time I ever knew he
To
came
be
back was for the Ring of Honor. That was it.
to be fair, it is difficult for Patty to come back, like football players to come back, like during the football season, just because
Yeah.
again, you're focused on what you're going on. Like your bye week may not line up with the home game, this, that, and the other. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But don't get it twisted. You're going to see it because I know you haven't seen quarterback yet. I promise you, Lyle, every episode that Patrick Mahomes is in, you see him repping the double T at least once.
bro. But that's what I'm saying. But like on the
That's the
second
biggest
half,
show in the world right now.
that's
And you got that guy.
bro. That's what I'm saying. But it ain't been. We haven't been posting this man. You know what I'm saying? We have not been promoting this man, showing him coming back. This man has won 2 Super Bowls, and this is
Yeah.
the and we're just
I
now
think it's
starting to
within
say,
reason, though. I think it's within reason. I
yeah,
don't think you should be going and posting Patrick Mahomes every day, right? Because that gets a
not
little
that,
redundant.
but when he comes
But
back
they
like
do a good job
Crabtree,
of
how
posting
many
his
times?
highlights.
But I'm just saying, how many times have they ever posted Crabtree come back? The man that won 2 Blitnikoffs, been in the College Hall of Fame. You tell me when last time. And so that's what I'm saying. You got to take advantage of that. Like quarterbacks want to come here because of this man. You don't have to post it every day. But when he comes back, you better have a film, him getting out the private jet and him walking to the field and him slapping up players. Like you got
I don't even
to.
think you need to do that. I don't even
I
think you
do.
need to do that. I just think, I think they're doing a good, I think that's part of it, but I think they're doing a much better job. And shout out to Patrick Clancy. He's Joey McGuire shouted him out yesterday. He's the film guy for Texas Tech in terms of filmographer for Texas Tech. I think they're doing a much better job of like when you see Patrick Mahomes working out and he is repping the double T, post it that quick. Right.
Yeah.
You don't think about it. It just, come up with some cheeky caption that says always hardly home, but always repping or something like that. Just something like that.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. But as a recruit, I want to know that you come back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And I think
when
he
they
does
do
to
that
some
stuff,
degree, but
when they do that stuff, it makes them want to come back. Like I talked to
sure.
Crab, like, you know what I'm saying? So the difference is like a lot of times, it's not that he don't feel welcome back, but like that makes you want to come back when you do that. Like I said, they come back once a year, if that. And I'm just saying kids want to see, back when I was playing, Wes Welker would come. Like it would have been cool to see a tweet of him at the facility kicking it. You know what I'm saying? It's a rare thing. I'm not saying every time he come, but when they're in Lubbock, Texas, you know what I'm saying? And Coach McGuire's done a good job of that with Patty, with the new people. But yeah, you need to put the legends that come back and hang out and post it, because kids are like I said, when I was after I left, you know what I'm saying? How many times is Graham been back? How many times is Crab been back? How many times is Louis Vasquez been back? 2-time Super Bowl champ. Like you don't know because we don't post it. So I'm just saying when we get guys to come back, I think this has been great because as a recruiter, as a recruit, I'm not there at Texas Tech. So when I see that he's back in the city, I'm like, dang, I might get to meet him when I go. You may never see him again, but the fact is he's there. He's coming back. He supports his school. And I think the older class, my class, I don't think we always felt like supported to come back in a sense. Like we were supported to come back, but I don't think it was
well, now
hyped
you
up
do though, right?
Yeah. No, Coach McGuire has been awesome.
I think,
but I'm just
is that
saying,
more
like,
of a staff
if
issue,
I
you
wanted
think?
I don't know. I don't want to say staff issue or any of that stuff, but I'm just saying if I won the Blitnikoff twice and I came back and it wasn't like posting me come back shaking hands, like you know what I'm saying? Like they show them support.
I'll
so
say
don't
it
be
then.
wrong,
I'll say it. I think it's more of a staff issue. And this is more of a credit to Joey McGuire and what they've done, because I think they've done a much better job. Most importantly, bringing you guys in, and making y'all feel welcome. I think the prior staff and Matt Wells, this is not a shot on Matt Wells. I think he's a good dude. I think he did a shitty job at that. I think they did do a great job social media wise when he was there. I think you can tell that this staff that Texas Tech currently has right now is on the same track as you, right? Like in terms of your way of thinking, right? Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. We both know that. But I think they're taking the appropriate steps to make it happen because they realize the priority right now, like it or not, and if you're at this point in the podcast, I'm about to ruin your day. Social media runs the world. Get over it. It's the truth, right? Yeah. If you're not relevant on social media, like to an extent, right, in business or whatever walk of life you're in, like in terms of marketing, advertising, and truly getting the maximum value out of yourself, if you're not on social media, you're doing it wrong, right?
Bingo.
And so when you look at what Texas Tech has done, specifically with this new staff, they realize, and I think it's that high school way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
Like what are their connections to high school football? They seen what those high school kids were into in terms of social media and how valuable that was. And it's like, okay, well, if we can relate with them and show them and get things for our brand on those mediums, we'll be
Yeah.
all right. And they've
Right.
done a phenomenal job at it. And again, I think you can promote Patrick Mahomes more, but I'll even be honest with you. If I saw Patrick Mahomes every other day on the tech football thing, I'd be like, all right, we got to calm down here just a little bit.
Yeah, no.
But every
No, I
Sunday,
agree with
they
you.
put out, highlights and stuff. I'm down for that. I'm down for that 100%.
And I like I said, I'm the same way. Again, it's not even every day. It's just when they come, when they're present
For
after
sure.
school. I think that's a big one. And one of my biggest conversations I always talk to you about is like I said, what recruits want to see. Like, I don't think people understand like Adidas, Nike, Under Armour. I don't think y'all understand like you understand, but I don't think others understand like how important that is to a kid. Like, there's literally kids
Yeah.
that choose schools off of uniforms. Oregon gets kids off of uniforms every year. So I just like I said, I just think like I said, it's just finding those things like you said the kids are into. And like I said, when you see people coming back that you see on TV every week, I think that's a big one more than highlights. Like, like I just feel like recruits don't care to see Patty Mahomes, but I'm just saying, like, as a recruit, I
They
don't
want
care
to
to
see
see
that guy.
Yeah, but I don't care to see Patty Mahomes throwing the ball at Kansas City in the Texas Tech shirt. I don't. As a recruit, I
Yeah.
care when he's back. So, I could say, hey man, I may meet him because he comes back all the time. As a
I
recruit
think it's
thinking, you
pretty
know what I'm saying?
valuable, though. Yeah, I get the aspect of actually being there, but I also think maybe even more valuable than him actually being there is like just actually being able to see that like Patrick Mahomes is like unequivocally in love with
Yeah,
Texas Tech. And
that's
you
true.
haven't seen Quarterback yet
That's true.
on
No,
Netflix.
I'm
By
gonna
the
watch
way,
it
go
today
check
though.
that
I'm
out.
binging. Thanks to you.
Okay,
I'm
great.
binging.
Awesome. You're going to love episode 2. That's when Pat comes back for the Ring of Honor.
Okay.
They show that. And I don't think any Texas Tech fan questioned like how much Patrick Mahomes loves that university or loves the
Mhm.
university, but you literally see it on display for the whole entire show. Like I'm telling you, like there's 8 episodes. I'm trying to go through the episodes in my head. Maybe one, but I want to say all of them. He's wearing a Texas Tech shirt
Yeah.
for at least like a minute or like one of those little small segments, right? But when he's at Texas Tech, this is a 15-minute, 20-minute long part of the show. Like where Texas Tech is having free advertising on the number one show in the world right now. That's unprecedented. And again, like
Mhm.
it shouldn't all just be on Patrick Mahomes' shoulders to support the brand because it's not, right?
No.
But when you have the greatest talent in NFL history as an alumni, you take advantage of that shit and you run.
And that's what I'm saying. I just think like
Yep.
that piece right there, like them on the quarterback, showing him coming back to Texas Tech. Like I don't think there's anything else that can top that. Like when a kid turns on Netflix and sees Patty Mahomes coming back at Texas Tech,
It's
slapping
always
up
going to be there.
coaches.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, there's no better feeling because it's like, dang, that could happen to me. Versus the other. I think the other one is super important too. But I'm just saying, like, to come back, have a chance to be on the Ring of Honor, to see his relationship with those coaches. That's
Yeah.
that's more because, like I said, there's guys that I play with that rep Texas Tech that never came back. That never came back, spoke to us,
Yeah.
older cats, never came back, kicked it. So, like you said, the love, I think we're kind of saying the same thing, but the love that he shows for the university, I think is like they've done a good job of showing that he loves that university and kind of breaking. I think in the past, just my humble opinion, it's kind of been a barrier from our guys coming back because, like I said, I don't remember a lot of my teammates coming back like that to kick it. I think some of the younger ones do. It's like mix and match, but I feel like Coach McGuire has made it to where everybody wants to come back instead of those certain guys. Like if we need something, hey, Coach
Yeah.
McGuire, I'd love to come to the game, love to stand on the sideline for a few minutes. Okay, done. And I think that he's done that for all. And,
Yeah.
especially like for me being a small piece in Texas Tech, I think that's what's made it cool for me because, like I said, he's treated high school coaches the same as he's treated me, as he's treated, Patty Mahomes per se. Patty got to have
Yeah, for
security,
sure.
all that good stuff. But he's treated us all the same. Go down the line and speak to everybody, make everybody feel welcome. So, like I said, they know for me, all they got to do is say the word. When I get a kid, I ain't gonna try to force them to go nowhere, but they know they got my vote, and if my kids ask, they know where where I would like them to go and where I'll try to send them. So he's done a great job, man. He's a genius. So I take my notes, and like I said, I steal some plays from Kitley that we can do, and some notes from McGuire.
That's all you got to do sometimes. That's all you got to do. Let's wrap it up there, though, man. Where can people follow you on Twitter?
Man, y'all can follow me at Coach LLEONG, and you can follow the GOAT, my main man,
at RCMB323. You can follow him. That's the GOAT at Patrick Mahomes.
I don't care what you say.
Yeah, that's the GOAT right there. Honestly, one of my favorite belongings right here. This picture's sick. Absolutely love it.
Next week on the podcast, you'll see RC's going to change his name to Goat Fecious.
I don't even know how to spell that right, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
Oh yeah,
that might be a hard Google. Hard Google. No shame in the Google game. He's Lyle. I'm RC. Appreciate y'all tuning in to the Back to 12 podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on Texas Tech football and men's basketball all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.